when Melania Trump dropped a loaded comment on live TV. Jasmine Crockett didn't clap back as she took her to court for $100 million. The auditorium in Dallas was buzzing. Reporters, educators, lawmakers, they'd all gathered for a White House education panel, a nationally televised event meant to discuss public school funding. It wasn't supposed to be political theater, but by the end of the afternoon, it had become a flashpoint in modern American politics. Seated on stage, 5 women from across the ideological spectrum. Among them was Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, known for her fierce advocacy for equitable education funding. She had just dropped a sharp, thoughtful statement on rural teacher shortages when Melania Trump stood up, composed as always. After praising a literacy initiative, the First Lady paused and then, without warning, dropped the line that would ignite a firestorm. It's interesting to hear from those who've used taxpayer dollars for, let's say, a broken bar, designer shoes and boutique hotels instead of classrooms. The air left the room. No name, no direct accusation, but every eye turned to Jasmine. Melania returned to her notes, stone-faced. The damage had been done. There was no rebuttal, no moderator stepping in, just a cough in the front row, a shuffle of someone crossing their legs too loud. Jasmine folded her hands in her lap and leaned back, her face unreadable. Off camera, her staff froze. Legislative Assistant Brianna Ogles, seated in the second row, mouthed "what the hell" as she pulled out her phone. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere: X, Instagram, TikTok. Someone even added subtitles. By the time the panel ended 20 minutes later, nobody remembered a word anyone else had said. Backstage, a reporter called out, "Congresswoman Crockett, do you have a response to the First Lady's comment?" Jasmine didn't flinch. She walked straight past, heels clicking like punctuation. In the car, Brianna leaned forward. "Do you want me to draft a post?" "No," Jasmine replied, staring out the window. "Let them talk. We're not doing this online." "But she just accused you of stealing money." "On camera, she didn't say my name," Jasmine said calmly, but she made it real clear who she meant. By nightfall, it had exploded. CNN, TikTok, conspiracy accounts, the phase taxpayer dollars and boutique hotels trended for hours. Some trolls claimed Jasmine had expensed $900 a night Arizona spay, a total fabrication. Her mother in Waco called twice, crying the second time. "Why would she say that about you, baby?" Jasmine sighed. "Because she thinks she can." But Melania had miscalculated. The next morning, Jasmine's inbox was unrecognizable. Hateful subject lines: "Resign, thief, you don't speak for us." Emails with fake leaks, others with direct threats, serious enough that Brianna contacted Capitol Police. "This is spiraling," Brianna said. "It's not just bad press, it's a wildfire." Jasmine scrolled past dozens of attacks until one message stood out from a superintendent in Lubbock: "We've got your back." "I know none of this is true." She sat down quietly. "How many interview requests?" 15 national, 10 local, 2 international, Brianna replied. "And I bet every headline already has the accusation in it," Jasmine said. "Even the ones trying to defend you," another 8 added. "Exactly. Like it's printed in bold. Truth's in the 3rd paragraph if it gets there at all." Outside, protesters gathered, homemade signs, a man pacing, shouting about fraud. It wasn't politics anymore, it was personal. That same morning, her cousin, a school counselor in Tulsa, called, shaken. "They asked if we were part of some shady DC thing. I told them you're not that kind of woman." "I know," Jasmine replied, "but now they've heard it, and that's enough to plant doubt." Then came the call, a blocked number. Jasmine hesitated, answered. "Congresswoman Crockett," the man said, "you don't know me, but I used to work in White House communications. I saw the panel. I saw what she did. Watch your email in the next 48 hours." He hung up. In a closed-door meeting, Jasmine made her decision. 5 staffers sat around the table. The room was quiet, surgical. On the screen, a freeze frame of Melania mid-comment, that slight smirk. "Play it again," Jasmine said. They did. No one blinked. "If we let that slide," she said, "we're telling the world they can say anything about us." Truth be damned. Chief Counsel Raymond Knox slid a folder across the table. Inside, Internal White House emails. One warned Melania's team 3 days before the panel not to go after Crockett. Her ethics record was airtight. The reply: "She'll handle it. Base will eat it up." Jasmine looked up. "How'd we get these?" Anonymous. "Secure drop." "Same voice from your call," Raymond said. She nodded once, filed a complaint. 2 days later, they walked into the federal courthouse in San Antonio. No speeches, no entourage, just Jasmine, Raymond, and Brianna. Jasmine wore navy, expression unreadable. Reporters swarmed. She said nothing. The lawsuit was 48 pages. Claim: defamation with reckless disregard for the truth. Damages sought: $100 million. Inside, the viral video, expert linguistic analysis, internal emails proving premeditated intent, and affidavits confirming Jasmine's financial integrity. By 10:15 a.m., the complaint was online. A headline spread like fire: Crockett sues First Lady Melania Trump for $100 million over calculated lie. Brianna retweets aloud in the elevator: "They didn't expect her to come with receipts." Jasmine Crockett plays chess. Melania picked the wrong one. Jasmine stared at the floor. "We're gonna get dragged through the mud." "We already are," Raymond said, "but now we've got the truth." The White House stayed silent for 24 hours. Then the counterattack began. A PR statement: calm, crafted. The First Lady denies all allegations. Her comments were general, not directed at any individual. She will not be distracted by political theatrics. Conservative media took the baton. Crockett weaponizes courts to silence dissent. First Lady under fire for telling the truth. Melania gave carefully chosen interviews. "I was speaking generally about waste. People twist things." She threw the first punch, Jasmine said one night, "and now she's pretending her hands are clean." Then came a thin, unverified report from a conservative think tank falsely claiming irregularities in Jasmine's record. It didn't matter that the data was fake. It gave the media something to chew on. "They're throwing mud to blur the picture," Brianna said. "Let them." Jasmine replied, "We'll keep showing the receipts." Support poured in quietly. A conservative colleague called to say, "I don't always agree with you, but you're right to fight this one." A middle school teacher from Abilene emailed, "My girls asked why someone would lie about you on TV. I told them we don't always get to pick the fight, but we choose how we answer. Thank you for answering." Jasmine read it twice, then said quietly, "All right, let's see how far they want to take this." 3 weeks after the lawsuit hit the court, Melania Trump sat for a sworn deposition. It wasn't public. It wasn't televised. But every detail of that day would eventually leak, and when it did, it would unravel the careful image she'd spent years curating. The setting was a neutral law office in downtown D.C., glass walls and brushed steel, clinical and cold. Jasmine Crockett arrived first, wearing gray. No press, no performative entrance, just a quiet, strategic walk to the elevator flanked by Raymond Knox and Brianna. On the 17th floor, Melania was already seated with her legal team of 3 men in expensive suits and a crisis communications rep trying not to look anxious. Melania didn't speak when Jasmine entered. She just looked up, briefly, then returned to the bottle of still water in front of her, untouched. The court reporter set up her laptop. The mic clicked on. Raymond leaned forward, tone calm but unshakable. "Mrs. Trump, please state your name for the record." "Melania Nos Trump," she said. Her voice didn't tremble, but the room could feel the tension tight and hovering. What followed was 5 hours of sharp legal precision. Raymond started with easy groundwork. "Do you recall the date of the education panel?" "Yes." "Do you recall the statement you made at the event?" "Yes." Then came the clip, played once in full, on a mounted screen. Melania watched herself speak the line. Raymond let the silence linger before continuing. "Who were you referring to when you said, those who've used taxpayer dollars for designer shoes and boutique hotels?" Melania's attorney interjected. "Objection, a compound question." "She's already stated the comment was general." Raymond nodded coolly. "Let's break it down then. Were you referring to Congresswoman Crockett in your statement?" Melania paused. "Number." "You weren't." "Number." "I was speaking in general terms." Raymond clicked his pen once. "Are you aware that the First Lady's staff received internal guidance 3 days prior to that panel specifically warning against making unfounded accusations against Representative Crockett?" Melania's lawyer stiffened. Objection. No foundation. We have the emails. They're entered into the record as Exhibit 9, Raymond said, sliding the printed thread across the table. Melania didn't touch it, but her eyes darted across the subject line. She knew what it said. Raymond pressed forward. Mrs. Trump, did you read briefing materials provided by your staff prior to the panel? Yes. Did those materials mention Representative Crockett? I don't recall. Do you recall a staffer warning you about attacking her credibility directly? Silence. Then, number. Raymond didn't blink. Do you deny receiving those materials? Or simply not remembering what they said? Melania's jaw tightened. I don't recall. Outside the room, things were escalating. The leaked deposition schedule had triggered a media swarm outside the building. Protesters, supporters, curious tourists. They didn't know what was happening inside Yeta, but that would soon change. Back in the room, Jasmine hadn't said a word, but her silence wasn't passive. It was power. She watched Melania the way an attorney watches a witness unravel a knot, with anger, but with precision. Raymond continued, are you aware of the viral impact your comment had within hours of the broadcast? I've seen reports, Melania said flatly. Are you aware that following the panel, Congresswoman Crockett received violent threats, her office was harassed, and conspiracy sites falsely claimed she misused federal funds? I'm not responsible for how people react, Melania said. Jasmine finally spoke. No, but you are responsible for what you say. The room froze. Melania turned her head slightly. Her eyes met Jasmine's for the first time. Jasmine leaned forward, voice steady. You didn't have to say my name. You knew exactly what would happen. You knew what people would assume. And you knew they'd come for me harder than they'd ever come for you. Her words weren't angry. They were measured, cold, undeniable. You did it with a smirk, with intent. And now you want to vanish behind I was speaking generally. That's not how this works. Not anymore. Raymond spoke again. We'll submit a motion to compel internal communications from the First Lady's office. Based on these responses, we believe further discovery is warranted. Melania's lawyers protested, but the damage was done. The room had shifted. That night, the first leak dropped. An anonymous source sent snippets of the deposition to a journalist at the Washington Sentinel, a moderate outlet known for careful sourcing. Within hours, the article exploded online. Headline: Crockett's lawsuit just got real. Deposition suggests First Lady was warned about false claim. Cable news split-screened the story with old footage of the panel. Hashtags reignited. She knew. Crockett versus Trump. Designer like. Jasmine's team didn't say a word, just like they'd planned. But the White House wasn't staying quiet anymore. The next morning, Melania went live on Fox Friends. Soft lighting, controlled framing. I never meant to harm anyone, she said. This is a distraction from real issues. It is sad when someone uses lawsuits to score political points. The anchors nodded sympathetically. Within minutes, the clip hit social. It was framed as grace, as restraint. The First Lady refuses to fight back. But that same day, Jasmine received another encrypted email from the same anonymous sender. Attached, a file of internal memos titled Media Strategy, Crockett. Inside were bullet points outlining how to link Jasmine's name with corruption in talking points, regardless of evidence. One memo even encouraged using general language to protect the First Lady legally. Raymond read it twice. This isn't just defamation, he said. This is calculated reputation warfare. Jasmine stared at the screen. Then let's treat it like that. 3 days later, they filed a motion to subpoena the communications team directly. Names were listed. The press caught wind. This wasn't just Crockett versus Trump anymore. It was about the machine behind the First Lady, of the system that plotted a smear, knowing it would cost nothing if it stuck. But this time, it was going to cost something. Outside the courthouse, a reporter shouted, "Congresswoman, are you trying to destroy Melania Trump's reputation?" Jasmine turned. "Number, I'm trying to defend mine." Flash bulbs popped. That linear 7 words hit the national evening broadcast. By week 5, the walls were closing in. The original fringe think tank that accused Jasmine of financial misconduct issued a quiet correction. Data misattributed. Inconsistencies found in original report. No apology, just a footnote. But the headlines shifted. A conservative columnist tweeted, "Even if you don't like her politics, Crockett is showing how to fight back with facts." Jasmine stayed quiet. She didn't want an apology from Melania. She wanted something rarer: accountability. And soon, the court would decide whether that was still possible in America.